Hello, my name is Igor, and this is the last day of 2021. And first I will do some kind of summary of what's happened on this channel in this year, and then I will answer those questions I got in that post. So first of all, I would like to thanks to all Patreon supporters. It's super motivating. And also I got several donations over Buy Me a Coffee, and same thing over the PayPal. So these donations are so motivated that I decided maybe a year and a half ago that I will not run ads during the video. So maybe you not even notice that, but doesn't matter how long is the video, but there are no ads during the video. Okay, in 2021 I created 90 videos. That's much more than I wanted to plan, and I got 9,600 subscribers, and currently I'm approximately at a little bit over 21,000 subscribers on this channel. Also, I would like to mention what I think that are most important videos on this channel, just in case if you skip some, because some of them got only 1,000 or 2,000 views. But I think they are much more important. So maybe exactly in this order. So one of them is the creep test, which is important to see how material performs over a longer time of the period in under some constant load. Then I tested 6 different Creality PLA filaments: ABS, PLA, PETG, carbon fiber. So I believe that this is very interesting video because even for me it was completely new. So I tested one brand, and I printed different test specimens, and I saw how they perform under different types of the load. And then I have that series of big PLA comparison tests where I started with 16 different PLA filaments. I first analyzed the spool, printed temperature towers, and I even printed the test specimens. These I printed half years ago, or 16 PLA brands I used here, and somehow I'm missing some motivation to do, because I have 64 test specimens here, and so for this I really need the motivation to do this. But even first 2 videos got maybe, I don't know, 2,000 views, so somehow, I don't know, or viewers don't think that's important, or maybe the YouTube recommendations don't think that this is value video. So I will do this final experiment, but I need a little bit more motivation for this and free time. Filament dryer comparison. I have that video where I tested 6 different filament dryers to see their drying capabilities, and also in separate video I measured the noise of these filaments, and I want to do similar with the printers to measure the noise of different printers, and also so I created some kind of standard in my experiment, and in this case every new filament dryers I can test using the same experiment, so the results are comparable with each other. And yes, I will do a food dehydrator test. So I already have a food dehydrator, but I'm doing some modifications, so I want to use it during the printing, but because after every filament dryer review I got several comments, when will I test, or will I test the food dehydrator too. Then I believe that this is very interesting filament test, the non-oilen filament, because it is some kind of PLA type of the filament, very easy for printing, a little bit weak adhesion to the bed, so I had to use the glue stick, but it can be boiled, it can withstand the temperature up to 110 degrees Celsius. So and also it has a food safe certificate, so it is very interesting. Maybe cookie cutters now are popular nowadays, so yes, I believe that video is very important too. The reinforcing object with 3D pen. This I believe it is important because I got really interesting and good results. So printing some kind of groove and reinforcing with the 3D pen can improve significantly the strength of that object. I tested it only with the PLA, but I want to repeat the same test using the ABS too, because my pen can be used with ABS too. Flow rate effect to the strength was very interesting video, I believe. Interesting result I got with the 100% infill versus maximum walls. And also the last one in this list is the printing multiply objects versus one by one. Here I got very surprised results, but thanks to the very useful comments, I found out what is the reason that the multiply object was stronger compared to that single printing one. And the reason is that during the traveling, it has the retraction, and until it travels to the same object, to the next object, the material melts a little bit more, and then it sticks to the layer. So that's why I got here 10% stronger objects with the multiple printing compared to the one by one. This will be very useful because I want to start to create those nice time lapses when after every layer the nozzle moves to the side. And with this I thought that the object will be weaker, but actually will not. So these are very useful informations. Okay, now let's see the questions and answers. Soggy nodes. Several questions, and my answer is: in the 2022 I want to reduce product reviews. More product designs and more material testing will be probably on this video. I have interesting Arduino projects in progress, and some of them will be in combination with 3D printing. Actually, with some of them with the timelesses or similar. There will be more product design and laser engraver videos. And also I want to jump into CNC milling world. So probably I will start with this kind of experience too. About mentioned things, I have already very detailed videos about the calipers, micrometers, torque wrench. So I'm not sure why is this mentioned, but yes, I created actually for my students, but very detailed. It covers every type of the calipers: digital, dial, vernier, imperial or metric system. So yes, take a look at that video if you need a video about the calipers. AGO. Here you can see the questions. I will read only my answer. So which printer I suggest between these printers? Well, from the list, if you don't want to mess with upgrades, then I would suggest Industry S1. I don't have experience yet with this printer, but I can see that it includes almost every upgrades which I already did on my Industry V2, except it's pity that it cannot print on higher temperatures, because we have so nice filaments which requires maybe 260 to 70 degrees Celsius for printing. So that's one disadvantage, and it still use that V-slot wheels, which are okay, but you have to pay attention after half year or a year to check if are those wheels okay. It's cheap replacement, but you can replace it. Also, if this is your first printer, maybe you should think about Ender 2 Pro. It's a new printer where if that small size is okay for you and you want to print only PLA, then it is very interesting. A small printer, portable. It's very easy. You can move, I know, from one room to the other, or maybe to office, or if you travel somewhere and your girlfriend or wife allows that you bring your printer with you. Then I got very long comment questions from the Gerson. I will read only my answers. So far I don't have SLA 3D printer. I have some comparison SLA versus PLA, but here I always use the 3D printing service for this. So I usually pay for those test specimens which are printed from different materials. I don't know, I think companies maybe check my YouTube channels, they see that I don't have SLA printer, so I don't even have offers to do a review of SLA printers. That's okay so far, I think, maybe. ABS sensor for small printers. Yes, it can be useful too. I know a lot of you will think that small size, it's very easy to do the bed leveling, but it is not always the bed leveling. For example, on Ender 3V2, the printing area is 165 by 165 millimeters. And yes, it's flat surface, I mean, at this size. but it's magnetic base, and if you want to replace, if we have several different types of the surfaces, because very easy to replace. Soon I will get one from the Bam magnetic base for Enders 2 Pro, and you just replace it. You can even use, I don't know, glass if you use some clips on it, and the BI Touch will always measure the surface from the top of that printing area. So this means you don't have to adjust the bed leveling or the limit switch in case you have the several surfaces and you're replacing them too. So I'm doing that very often. So for me, yes, BI Touch or other bed leveling sensor is very useful even with the small areas, because it's not only the flatness of the surface and that mesh which will be compensated during the printing on the z-axis, but also measuring the surface, measuring the distance from the top of the surface. Of course, with the bigger surfaces, definitely yes. So I know Ender 7 or 7D1, I don't understand why they're selling these printers without auto leveling sensor. Again, about the printer, well, my favorite style is the cubic frame Cartesians, something like Enter 5 Pro. It is not so fast like Core XY printers, but it needs less maintenance and it is less sensitive to settings. If that area is a little bit small or volume, in that case I would still recommend the Ender 5 Plus. It's bigger, dual z-axis, automatic bed leveling sensor already installed, but pay attention that you buy it with silent drivers. I think they are selling them because the first versions were very loud. They didn't use those silent stepper motor drivers, yeah, so it's a little bit slower than Core XY, like I know Voron or something like that, or Ender 7, but for longer period I believe that it needs less maintenance. The timing belts is much shorter, so with Core X5 the timing belts are much longer and it must be very tight, and so you have to pay attention for that. Now, what software? I would suggest you to start with the Tinkercad. It is free software, the simplest CAD software you can find. I have some basic video about that, how to start with that. It's free. It works on the browser. This means it's embedded from the operation system. It can work in I know, Linux, Windows, Mac, and similar. And later you can move to something like Design Spark Mechanical or maybe Fusion 360. These both have some kind of free versions for the hobby use. The Rainman 059. Have you tried RGX Lite, and do you plan doing an extruder shootout comparison like I did with the filament dryers? Extruder comparison, yes, theoretically the idea is good, but first I don't have so many extruders, and it's not that simple because it's not only the extruder, it is in combination with the hot end. So it also would depend on the hot end. This means I have to test every extruder maybe with the same hot end. I don't know yet. No, so far no, I don't have these plans, but I have similar comparison video if you think about the noise with the CD printers. So I want to compare different, make some standard measuring, and in that case those results will be comparable with each other to see what are the silent and what are loud printers. I hope this will motivate a little bit the manufacturers so they can try to use a little bit silenter fans. Usually now modern printers, the fan is the loud thing, not the stepper motors, because usually they are using those silent stepper motor drivers and the biggest noise is from the fans. But quiet fans exist, so it will be a good step if they start to use them. Copyright, he created 2 posts. I will start with the older one. So he has the FS1 SR, that's the Delta printer, and he changed the OMG V2 extruder on it, which I also already did too. And if I advise to change the hot end, because he has to use the bigger temperature on this. Well, the bigger temperature is normal on these higher speeds. I mean, Ender 3 V2 use usually, I don't know, 60 millimeters per second speed, but the FSR, I set my speeds to 150 millimeters per second, so it's obvious that with bigger speed you need to raise the temperature, and I also raise by, I don't know, 15 degrees, maybe even from 20, to have constant flow rate. Another question, if you calibrate extruder, it is different if he unplugged the Bowden tube or it is connected. Of course, if you unplug, then there is no resist of the Bowden tube, and of course no resist of melting of the filament in the hot end and the nozzle. Which method is the best? Of course, the best is what will you use during the printing. But there shouldn't be too big difference. So you try to press, you have OMG V2. You can push the filament with your hand, and it should be easy to press it. If not, then yes, you should raise the temperature of the nozzle in that case. But yes, the method you should use here, the calibrating the E steps, is the one which we use during the printing, and that's with the Bowden tube on and pushing the filament through the hot end. Image maker, he owns Enders 3S, and stability on y-axis wobble compared to Enders 3 Pro or V2. Linear rail is good for stability, but it brings a ghosting and ringing. Any idea to reduce that? I don't understand really this question. I mean, Enders 3 S1 used the V-slot wheels on all three axes, so maybe he already replaced to linear rail. Check the exacting nuts if it's not linear rail. If you already replace it to the linear rail, well, actually linear rail should not bring more ghosting or ringing. I mean, it's more stable compared to V-slot wheels. Yes, it may have a little bit more noise because now we have some metal balls rolling inside that element. On V-slot wheels we have some kind of non-metallic wheels rolling on aluminum rails inside on a slot. That's more quiet, but the ghosting I don't understand. So you shouldn't have more ghosting by replacing or installing the linear rails. Theoretically, the ghosting should be reduced because they are less vibrating when the printer moves suddenly or stops suddenly in one direction. Luis, will you have reviewing the print dry system from Matter Hackers? No, only two companies I don't have yet tested filament dryer, popular companies. Those are the Print Dry and Venhau. I contacted them because I got several comments that I should test them too because they are good and something like that. I contacted these companies. One of them didn't even answer. The other is that wrote me, if I want to test it, then I should buy it, and I can test it if I want to. So they don't want to send me a product for a review. Okay, so this means probably I will not test them in near future. Maybe if somebody in Budapest, in Hungary, have these dryers, maybe I can borrow it for one day to do my standard experiments, and then they will be included. I will try that solution too. Martin asked what I think about the popularity of the Voron. Are you interested in building one, and what do you think of the building as buying second 3D printer? About the Voron, for me, well, now I don't know, I have at least 15 or 20 3D printers, and biggest value for me is actually the new experience. That's why I was very happy when I got Ender 7 for a review, for example, or which is Core X5 printer, or FSN Super Racer, which is a Delta printer, and probably nobody will send me a Voron. Maybe a kit, but never mind. So that will be completely new experience for me, and I'm learning a lot from these new types of the printers. So yes, definitely I will build a Voron printer. I'm still experimenting with which material to use to see ABS. Is there any difference between ABS and ABS? ESAN ABS Plus is the most popular, but I want to test it, compare it with the Polymakers or Sunlow ABS, because I want to see, for example, on creep test, how they perform on 50 degrees Celsius, for example, simulating the temperature inside the enclosure. So I have still some material tests in progress, and then I will decide which material to use printing parts. And then, yes, definitely I will build a Voron printer, probably 2.4 350 cubic version. And for second printer, building a Voron or buying a printer depend. So if you are not afraid of building, because building a Voron is not an easy task. So if you are not afraid of this kind of assembling, then yes, go with the Voron. I mean, you will get a very interesting experience. You will build a nice decent printer. But if you need a printer just to print something, you don't have times for these hacks and tweaks and settings and similar, then buy a finished printer. Something like, I don't know, maybe Ender 3S1, which includes all those upgrades properly. That's a good solution. I don't have this printer yet, so I'm just talking about reading some experience on internet, and I think that's my advice. And last message is from the Kimball, and he wished me happy holidays. Well, thank you, and I wish happy holidays to you too, and to all my viewers. And I hope you will follow me to 2022. Until that, thank you for watching and happy printing. Bye.